Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. This is 401 Styling. So today we'll be learning how to cut and sew an underbust corset. Okay, so I'm just going to be making a short dress out of this, but I want us to focus mainly on the upper part, and that is where we are putting our focus because that is what we want to learn. Okay, so it's going to be having a basque waistline. So let's just get started. So guys, for the underbust cut, just like every other design you want to make, you will need your basic bodies, but this time around we are using our half scale basic bodies, that is from the shoulder to the waistline or to the front line. Okay, depending on how your body measurement is. And I already have my lines: the chest line, the bust point, underbust, and the waistline. Okay, so I purposely not complete it because I want to show us exactly how it's supposed to be. So now the next thing I want to do now is to take my neckline measurement, and I'm going to be using a round neckline using the measurement of 3 inches by 3 inches, and from there I'll connect to the shoulder slope. Okay, but before that, after marking your 3 inches by 3 inches, I will now use my curve rule to connect it. We're actually going to be making a keyhole neckline. So to make a keyhole neckline, you need to draft your basic neckline first. So after that, now I'll connect to the shoulder slope. So from the shoulder measurement divided by 2, I'll come down by 1 inch. Okay, if you are confused and you don't know how to draft the basic body, so I'll drop a link in the description box for us. So here I have my temporary line, okay, which serves as a armhole line. So from here now I will create my armhole curve. So to do that, you come to the middle of the line like this, mark it and come in by 0.5 inch, then connect with a straight line to the tip of the shoulder slope, just like you see me doing. Okay, so after that you will create a curve, but before you create a curve, you take your bust measurement divided by 4 on the chest line, then mark the point. So from there you connect back to the initial line you have, and that's how you create your armhole curve, just like that. Okay, so after which we have done that, the next thing we want to do is to take our bust span measurement to create our dart. Okay, you divide your bust span into 2, whatever measurement it is, divide it by 2 and use it to create a straight line, just like I did. So from the center front, you measure whatever you have and you connect it like I just did. Okay, so after which you have done this, now the next thing we want to do now is to come to this chest line, make the line visible because we'll be needing the line. Okay, so after that, now from the bust point you come down by 1 inch, okay, vertically, and you mark that point. Okay, and that is where your darts will be stopping, but not the regular kind of dart. Now you come to your waistline and you determine how much dart intake you want. Okay, if you want 2 inch, you can decide to put 1 inch on both sides of the line, that is your dart line, or you decide to make it, you know, just to divide the lines and make sure that the highest portion of the division is going towards the side front. Okay, so here what I'm doing is that I'm taking 1.5 inch on the side front, I'm taking ½ inch on the center front. Do you understand? Okay, so after which you have done that, you do the same thing on the underbust line, then you connect it with a straight ruler like this. You can divide the darts the way you like. So from there you connect to this point with a curve rule. Okay, and make sure you don't have too much curve around that part. You need to be careful while using your curve rule. Okay, so after you have connected the first part, you do the same thing on the other side as well. Okay, so after which you have done that, now you do the same thing on the chest line area, but before that you need to determine how high you want it to be. And on this shoulder line here, you're going to be dividing it into 2. Okay, divide into 2 equal half whatever you have on the shoulder line, then you connect back to the bust point with a straight line like so. This is going to be guiding us on where exactly we should, or we are going to put our dart. Do we understand? So here now you are going to impute whatever you have on the underbust, but before you do that, you need to determine how high you want that place to be. Okay, that is going to be like a new neckline for you. Okay, so whatever you have on the waist, you divide it as well. You can decide to deduct like 0.5 inches from whatever you have on the waistline. Okay, so here I'm just going to be using 0.75 sorry, 1.5 inch altogether. Okay, so here you can decide to maintain the chest line, or you come up by 1 inch, by 0.5, or whatever. So I want to use 1.5 inch here, like I said, and I'm going to be dividing it into 2 equal half. So whatever I have there, I'll be marking the points, and I'll connect back to the bust point. Okay, the new points that I have here, that point where I stop my darts, I'll connect it back to it. Okay, you can make use of a curve rule this way, or you just decide to make use of your straight ruler. So I'm just going to confirm the measurement again. I think I have a little bit of, yeah. So after that, now you will now connect from here back to the armhole. Okay, and then you connect from the other line back to your chest line. Okay, but you can decide to come down from your chest line by 0.5 inch, just like I have here, as you can see, and you can try to maintain the chest line. So this is going to form a sweetheart neckline for you. So there is this other thing I want to show us. You see this area, if you want to connect the curve, sometimes you would need to close the shoulder dart, but before you do that, you would extend the dart from the new chest line to the shoulder dart. Okay, and by the time you extend it, there will be reduction in the measurement of the armhole. So you are just going to close it and replace the measurement, but it's not necessary. I just want to show us. Do you understand? So here now, whatever you have here, you measure it, but before you do that, you will have to open up the waistline, and for you to be able to open the waist, you have to cut off this excess. Then you are going to open the waistline like this up to the new bust point, but make sure you didn't cut it off. So by doing so, you'll be able to close the shoulder dart. That is the rule of that. Actually, before you can open another dart, you need to close one dart. As you can see, you see the line is correlating. Okay, but if you just want to confirm if you have a a matching line, you can just decide to do it this way, but it's not necessary. Okay, I'm just showing us in case of next time, or if we just decide to have it like that. So you can just use a dotted line like so to connect the lines together. And do not forget, by the time you do this, you will reduce your armhole or your chest width measurement. So what you are going to do now is to replace the dart back to the armhole. So just watch what I'm going to do. So I'm going to measure whatever I have here, and I'll replace it back to this armhole area. Okay, I'll move up a little bit and measure again, then I'll replace it. Do we understand? So with this, even if you close the dart later, you decided to later close the dart, you will have the replacement, just like we used to replace our waist darts and bust darts whenever we take that, just like the way we replace our dart intake. So that is that about that. So the next thing we want to do now is to take the body circumference measurement. So on the chest line, you're going to take your bust divided by 4, then you replace the dart intake. Okay, remember we have 1.5 inches. You replace it back. You come to the underbust area. It is not necessary. I'm just going to show us this. So you divide your waist by 4, mark it and replace your dart intake, that is the 2 inch you took earlier. Then you do the same thing on the waistline as well, because it is actually the waistline that we needed. Then you start your measurement from this margin line. Do not forget, so that you don't add to your measurement. So you take your waist divided by 4, then add the dart intake. Okay, so that is what we have. So you need to write on your front pattern that you do not have a seam allowance yet, but you can decide to add your seam allowance immediately on the pattern set. Do you understand? So now we want to determine the underbust cut itself. So this depends on what you want. You can connect from this underbust back to your bust point, or even somewhere in between your bust point and underbust, just like what I want to do. Come up from your underbust by 1.5 or 2 inch, okay, depending on how you want it to go. Connect to the dart leg with a curve rule, then you connect back to the underbust line to the side front with a straight ruler. Okay, So before we proceed, I would like to close up this part so that we'll be able to draw our keyhole neckline. Just like the word states, keyhole, you're going to be having a hole in between your neck and your chest line. Okay, so you can decide to divide whatever you have in between these parts. I have 5.5. You can decide to divide into two, or you come down from your neckline by 2.5, just depending on how wide you want the hole to be. Depend on your preference. Okay, so but for this one I'll just be coming down by 2.5 inch. Okay, then I'll be connecting back to the armhole area. Okay, so just like you see me doing, you can decide on wherever you want it to be. Okay, but this one I don't want the hole to be too wide, so I'll maintain 3 inch from the neckline. Then I'll connect back to the armhole. You can decide to connect to wherever you like. Okay, either you connect to the dart area just like I did, or you can do anyhow with it. It's depending on how wide you want your keyhole neckline to be. But mine, I'll be connecting to the armhole. I'll be connecting back to the armhole like this. Okay, so that is that about the keyhole. So you can maintain this line or the other line. Okay, just decide on which one you want to use. I already connect my line with a curve rule, as you can see. So then we are going to cut it like that and straight down to the underbust line. Do not forget to label your pattern. So this is the yoke, and I'm going to use an arrow to specify where exactly it's going to face. It's facing down, as you can see. Then you're just going to label the cups as well. So I have 2A and 2B because I assume the yoke is 1, so this is 2. By the time we cut it out, we're going to be having piece. Okay, then this is going to be 3 because this part is going out. I'll be taking out the darts and the hole on the neckline. Okay, so you can decide to make your underbust cut straight without having any curve. Okay, but it has a curve, and I'm just going to be cutting it this way. Okay guys, so thank you very much for watching till this moment. Do not forget to subscribe. Hit on the subscribe button, turn on your notification bell, like this video, share, and drop a comment, drop your thoughts on this. Okay, so guys, I'm just going to be cutting it out this way. After cutting out the number 3, I'll cut out the number 2 like you see me doing, because I want it to be step by step so that we don't get confused or mix things up. So after you cut the second part, you're just going to cut out the darts just like you see me doing. Okay, then you cut the yoke as well on the line you wanted to use. So me, I'm using the upper line, so decide on whatever line you want to use. Then cut the neckline and the armhole just like this. So guys, the next thing I want to do now is to cut out the dart on the waistline. Then I'll be joining the two patterns together because I don't want it to be in pieces. I just want a whole piece, a single piece. So the more pieces you have, the more joining you have to do. Okay, but I just want this part to be single like this. Okay guys, so the next thing I want to do now is to create the basque waistline. Okay, and to do that now, for this lower part, this number 3 pattern, you will get a fresh pattern paper like this. Then you place it on it, hold it down with a tape so that it don't move. So now the next thing is to determine how long you want the basque to be. So I just want a little bit of extension. I'm using 3 inches. Then you connect back to the waistline like I just did. I mean, if you want to make it curve, you can use your curve rule to create a slight curve like this. You can also make use of your freehand, but it's better you just use your curve rule for the sake of accuracy. Okay, then after that you will now cut out depending on the shape you wanted. Okay, but me, I'll be maintaining the straight one, so I'll be cutting off all this round excess. So this is our front part, and this particular area is when you have your hole. Now for the back pattern, I already went ahead to draft my back pattern without zip allowance. Okay, you are going to be drafting it without zip allowance, and after which you have done that, we'll now take our waist dart, just the regular waist dart. Okay, so on the waistline or the front length, or sorry, the back length, you are going to take 0.5 inch on both sides. You can decide to go ahead and take as much as 1 inch depending on you, but 0.5 it's okay. Then you connect back to the bust points like that. So on this back neckline, chest line rather, we are going to be doing a back tightening around that place, and I'll be using 0.5. So that means I'll take 0.25 on both sides, and I'll connect back to the that legs, just like you see me doing like this. Okay, so after that, now we'll now determine how wide we want our loop to be. So from the center back, now you'll be coming in by 2 inch. Remember, we don't have zip allowance, so you mark the 2 inch from the top down to the waistline like this, then you connect with a straight ruler. So this means that this is how wide our back will be, that is the loop area. Okay, so this signifies the highlight or your loop or whatever you want to use. So here now you want to determine if we are going to have a keyhole at the back as well. For the back neckline, I use 3 inches by 1 inches. Okay, instead of 3 by 3 that I will use at the front. So from the neckline now straight down to where the loop is going to start from, you can decide to connect like that. We cut out this part and it will remain this part. Okay, so you can even decide to have a keyhole at the back as well. So from the neckline you come down by how many inches you want, just like we did for the front. Okay, so if you want it this way, this space will be cut out and this space will be joined to the front shoulder. Okay, but if you want a keyhole as well at the back, you can come down by 1.5 inches. That's what I'm using, and you connect back to this area where we have the first line. You can either make it this way, okay, depending on how wide you want the hole to be, and this part is going to be your yoke. Okay, so now I'll make this line visible now, and this small circle I'm drawing signifies where you have your loop. Okay, so after that now I'll just go ahead and widen the hole at the back. If you want it to be wider, just connect back to where you have your darts. Okay, this actually depends on your preference. Okay, but as for this, I'll not be using this line and this other line, so I'll be using this one here. Okay, I just want a little bit of opening around the back. The next thing we want to do now is to take our body circumference, or the chest line and the bust point. We are using our bust divided by 4. Then you replace the dart you take. On the waistline, you do the same thing. Your waist divided by 4. Replace the dart intake and add your seam allowance immediately. Okay, so as for the back, I'm adding my seam allowance. Okay, then I'll just write it on the pattern that I would not need to be adding seam allowance again. So this loop area is going out, that is, we are cutting it out, and we are going to be replacing it with our loop. But before that, I'll have to cut out the pattern. Okay, the neckline, the shoulder, the armhole, just like I'm doing this way. Then this neckline as well, this hole, you cut it out this way. Okay, then after that now you write how many you want to cut. Same thing goes to the darts, you cut it out and you separate the yoke from the upper lower part rather. So this part will be replaced with a loop. Then this is what we have at the end. So I'll just be folding this part. I'm not going to cut it out. That's how I used to do, because I might need this pattern for something else later that I'm not going to be using a loop. Okay, so I'll just use a straight line to signify, and I will label seam allowance so that in case, just to be sure. So guys, I already transferred my pattern to the fabric. As you can see, I cut the lining and the fabric together. Okay, where I'm supposed to cut to, I cut to, and where I need to cut on fold like this one, I cut on fold together with the lining. So, and the same thing goes to the back as well. I already cut my fabric and the lining. Okay, so for the front, I'll be cutting 2 lining for this because the fabric is transparent, so we need to cover it with the lining. After adding the breast pad, we have to cover it again with another lining. So what I'll do now is to cut the other lining. After that, I'll join the original lining to the lace, and after that we'll now use this particular front pattern to cut the wording. To make it easier when you're about to add your wording to the fabric, you will need your hemming gum, and make sure that the shining part of the wording is facing the wrong side of the fabric. Then you fold your wording into 2 this way, fold your pattern as well and place it on it. Then you cut it out according to the shape of the pattern. Okay, so the way you are going to be cutting it, after cutting out the shape, you will trim off 0.5 inch on top and at the base, just like this, so that it will be easier for you to join. Okay, then after that you will have to put your hemming gum, just like you see me doing, in between your fabric and your wording. So by the time you are using your iron to fuse it, it will make it easier. It will glue together faster compared to doing it alone. So it's advisable you use a steam iron. It's very, very helpful. And if you don't have a steam iron, you can also improvise. So guys, I already did that to the middle pattern and one of the side pattern. So I'll just repeat the same process for this side pattern, and do not forget to trim off 0.5 so that you don't have a bulky, you know, it's not bulky around that part. I just hope you understand. So, and for this you're going to trim off to give it a nice shaping around that part. Okay, then after that you add your hemming gun and do it the same way. So now I'll just join the three parts together. Okay, just like you see me doing, I'm going to join the center front to the side front and the other side as well. This is why I said we should notch our pattern and as well our fabric after everything, so that you know exactly where to be placed together. So I'll just join these two together and show us how exactly it's going to look like after all. So guys, this is what we should have after everything. Okay, so I already joined the lining too as well the same way. Then we are going to be using it to turn it over. But before that, now the other part that has the basque will be joined to the main fabric, and the lining will be joined to the lining as well. I just hope you understand. This will be under the net because I'm using a net for this. Okay, so after you have joined the net to the main fabric, you will join the lining together as well, just like you see me doing. Then this is the yoke. I already turn it around. And as for the upper part, you need to open press and notch like this so that the other part will be smooth. I think that is the outside of the cup will be smooth. Then you fold your pattern like this. Then you come in with your pattern paper. You notch your armhole area first, where exactly you have your armhole area. Come in with your fabric, that is your yoke, the original yoke. Place it on it as well so that you will know exactly where to mark. And you can also come in with your side pattern. Then you notch your seam allowance area first so as to know exactly where you have your armhole and exactly where you want to join it to. So after that, now to turn, you will turn it with the lining, but before that you have to use a pin to secure it together with the lace. Then you place the lining on it just like you see me doing. Okay, just watch what I'm doing carefully if you don't understand. Then you run a stitch all through except for the lower part. We'll be turning it around. So guys, this is what I have, and as for this space, I can see that it is wider. I will just run a stitch forward just to hold that part, and this is what we have. So now for the basque waistline, what we are going to do now is to use the upper part to create the waistline. Okay, and it will be starting from exactly where the waistline stops. So the way you want to do it is place it on it like this and use your chalk to trace it out. Then we are going to be stitching it down. So you must have notched the center of the lower part and the upper part as well. So just place it on it like this and use your chalk to mark it out. Then you add your 0.5 seam allowance. Okay, I just hope we can see clearly. Place it on it this way. Then you use your chalk to trace it out. Then you cut out that part. After cutting it out, I'll take it to sewing machine and join it all through. You need to be very careful while doing this. So guys, I'm done, and this is what I have at the end. This is the basque area. You need to be careful when joining it. Then as for the back, okay, I have two sides, of course, automatically. I only join the side. I did not join the upper part because you will have to impute your yoke first before you join the lining together. Do you understand? Just like the way we did for the front, we will repeat the same process for the back. So after that, now you want to create the loops. Okay, and this part is where you are going to have the loop, but before that you must have your rope, what do we call it? So you'll be cutting out 2 inch each, okay, to create the loop area. Okay, just watch what I'm doing. So this line is where you insert all your loops. Okay, so you just measure whatever you have here and determine how many inches you want it to be in intervals, like how many space do you want in between each of the loops, and you arrange it all through like that. Do you understand? After arranging, you flip the lining over and you stitch it all through, after which you have stitched your yoke. Do not forget. Okay guys, this is what I have. I already joined my zip to the skirt, and this is what I have. So this opening is exactly the 2 inches we deducted when we are drafting our pattern. I have 4 inches in total. So the first side of the zip, I have 2 inch, and the second side of the zip I have 2 inch as well. Okay, so that is that about it. The next thing I want to do is to join the front and the back together. Okay, I'll join it on the shoulder. After that, I'll take my body measurement with my seam allowance at the sides. So after joining it, this is what I have. Okay, this is the front and this is the back keyhole. As you can see, this is the opening. I've already reduced it because I don't want it to be too wide. As you can see, I run a stitch forward. You can go ahead and do the same thing. Okay, so guys, I'll just put this on, and before that I will cut my sleeve with a net and show us how it looks like. So guys, this is the final result. As you can see, this is the underbust cut, and I have my sleeve joined together already. Okay, so and as for the back lacing, I did the lacing myself, so that is why it's looking like this. Okay, so guys, thank you very much for watching. Do not forget to click on the subscribe button if you are yet to subscribe. Turn on your notification bell, like this video, share, and drop your thoughts in the comment section. Okay, till next time that we meet in my next video. Bye bye, take care.